Blair White.
Let's quote Blair. She's such a mess. She's a fraud. She's a fraud. She's a fraud. She's a fraud.
That weirdo trans girl who basically has a YouTube channel completely dedicated to being mean to children on TikTok. Peculiar stuff from a grown-ass woman.
To any trans person that stumbles upon this video, I love you so much. I love you so much. I know how much this hurts.
To her.
With that being said, Blair has done something incredibly remarkable. And you know what that is? That is call out another content creator who she's had some beef with for some time, and that person is actually Eliza Schaer.
I just thought it was weird that he was defending Israel. Like, we should support Israel because they have women voting, women leaders, and you can be gay, which are three things I hate about my own country. You know what's even a crazier idea? Racism's a good thing.
Eliza Schaer is a content creator who rose to prominence by talking about the race war going on in America back after the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and then became a talking head at the conservative media organization, The Blaze. Blair has come out the other day to say this. The reason why I'm not conservative, numbered 4269, we have the most based transgenders. Yeah, heck them transgenders. Being just transphobic as he normally is, right up there with being misogynistic. And she actually twitched this, which is pretty interesting. If you want to know reason number one, that's because he sexually assaults women and men, but I guess that hasn't come out yet. Sheesh. It's always the LGBTQ, the alphabet mafia conservatives that come for the throats of other throats of other conservatives to call them out for bad behavior when it specifically comes to other alphabet mafia League of Letters characters like themselves. I mean, we saw this with Christian Walker, who called out a bunch of other conservatives. Very interesting. So apparently Eliza Schaer not only abuses women but abuses men. He'll do anything. He'll do anything. Taco or hot dog. He'll abuse it all. Crazy how that works out. Anyways, if you don't know what she's referring to, at least when it comes to women, we can take a little scroll back on when Eliza Schaer actually got fired from The Blaze because of assault allegations that he got hit with by multiple women at the organization that he worked with. That's owned by Glenn Beck, another conservative freakazoid who's online. Eliza Schaer, he started to have some strife with Glenn Beck because Glenn is actually Jewish, if I remember correctly. Glenn Beck is Jewish, right? Mormon, he's Mormon. Eliza Schaer, he's some other denomination of Christian. He said that Glenn is going to, he said, very soon you go to hell. Glenn, you need to repent. And so that's when he started to have problems. But things got really bad, and then only got exacerbated as multiple women came out about how he was misogynistic, telling them that they can't take leadership roles at The Blaze because they're silly women who need to know their place and sit down and start to follow the men who actually work there. But things really started to come to a head when Schaer finally got hit with something that Glenn Beck and the other conservative freaks at the Blaze couldn't just ignore and chalk up to just boys being boys, which is him sexting one of the women who worked with him, and then they finally had to fire him after years of accusations. Schaefer's ouster was, in fact, the result of a weeks-long internal investigation into allegations that he groped a colleague's breast without her consent, according to people close to him and the incident. In late August, Schaer was accused of groping Sarah Gonzalez, another host of The Blaze, without her consent at a film premiere. He sat next to her while the film was premiering, and he decided to fondle her boobage while he was high on substances. And he did this as well, just like a multiplier to how terrible he is. He did this while having a wife. It's not surprising to me that Eliza Schaer would do something like this and be this terrible of a person, and also get in on anything that moves too, as the pervert that he seems like he is. She goes on to say, I was cool with Eliza Schaer for a while. Makes sense. She's a horrible person, friends with terrible people. Though it was weird that the first time we met, he took my gay friend into a room alone for quite some time. Not my business. He was having gay booty hole sex. Oh noes. I was even cool with him when everyone had a story about him cheating on his wife constantly. Not my problem. We start to get a little image of Blair White. Like, I don't really care if my friends are abusing their spouses by cheating on them. You know, who cares? He's a cool guy. We like to make fun of minorities together, so it's not my problem. Just keep an eye. Just remember this, okay? The not my problem part. But when he lost his career for abusing a married woman he and I have both worked with, I was pretty disgusted. He fled the country after that, so I don't know why he cares about my YouTube debate half a globe away. Repressed homosexuality seems rough. So absolutely cooked him here. Wild stuff to be saying. You're a man who got operation to look female. Okay, who look to look feminine. Average conservative NPC post that you would normally see this type of stuff, right? I'm not religious. I've read the Bible. Jesus didn't act like these people. But you know somebody that Jesus didn't really act like? Blair White. And Blair White's friends. I think it's really interesting that she would come out to talk about this type of stuff because she was all like, oh, I stopped being friends with him after he lost his whole career by being so terrible to women and whatnot. But she seems like she has very strange connections to many other people who don't necessarily seem as good to hang around. Some of those people include somebody who calls her his friend. You know who this guy is? Have you seen this guy before?
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, with the help of my friend Blair White here, I have arranged for a conversation, a meeting of the minds, something that realistically is way outside of my realm of expertise.
Very interesting. You know what seems like in his realm of expertise, though? Getting accused of sexual assault. When she first met Grad Mason in 2005, they both posted the same message on the same message board. One day, they made plans to get together in Manhattan. Jane ended up taking the subway back to his apartment in Queens, where he made advances. At first, I was okay with it. It quickly became uncomfortable. As it went further than I wanted it to go, Jane said. I told him I wasn't into it, but he didn't stop and became pretty angry. Meanwhile, I'm not a big girl. I'm 5'4", and Adam is well over 6 foot and a pretty big guy. I was terrified and froze while he had with my basically lifeless body. I was too afraid to fight back in fear he would hurt me. So I just laid there in terror. I just remember staring out the window and praying it would be over soon. She said she confided in one person who she thought that she trusted about the alleged assault, but did not go to the police or the authorities for reason I still do not understand. I told Adam. Adam immediately took to the public forum we were both members of and plastered my supposed lie all over it, and then called her all this type of stuff, right? Basically going on to talk about how men get abused so much men get abused constantly by being accused of things that they didn't do by evil women who try to take down their careers. But there's another woman. Dee met Grand Mason at the airport and they had dinner. They went back to his mother's house where she lived and they watched The Office. Oh, and that's how you know he's not that great. No, just stop, she said. I was pushing him off of me with my hands. And my hands were pushing him, really just barricading my vagina with my hands. Like, no, don't go there. She told Pitchfork Grand Mason, asked her why she was so upset afterwards. I was like, dude, I told you I wanted to wait, she recalled. You knew that this was special to me and I wanted to wait. Why did you do that? And that he mentioned he was still getting lots of heat over Jane and I was terrified. And so she didn't go to the police about this either. So that's this with Adam 22. But this isn't even actually over yet. This is already pretty bad that I may want to just be careful with my interactions with this person. In my personal opinion, I would just want to be careful. At minimum, be careful with my interactions and maybe keep a little distance between this guy with two women basically coming out with assault allegations with this guy. That's starting to become a pattern. But it seems like things don't end there with Adam. Things start to get worse. And the age of the girls that he's working with starts to go down. And honestly, not too long ago, Adam was accused by multiple women of not only exploiting women for sex by coercing them to have sex with him and using his position of power to get girls to be closer to him so he can have sex with them, so he can get on the podcast, so they can get more views. Basically kind of Weinsteining them a little bit. Just Weinstein a tiny bit, in my personal opinion, through what I've read about all this type of stuff, how they have a culture of exploitation and coercion as detailed by the Rolling Stones. That was in June, almost a year ago now. Back in 2023 again, Joe Budden asked Adam 22 about his quote white boy pervert shit amid underage sex allegations against him that came out about a girl that he was talking to who was 16. And we have some of the conversation that they had regarding this. I'm going to skip forward a little bit here to get to some of the Joe Budden's involved in this too. Yes, I want to skip forward in this a little bit to get to this part here. That's, see, I'm going to be on. It's a little weird. It's a little weird.
No, I didn't say a word to her for 3.5 years. That, you know, it's like we just sort of ended up
waited for the girl. You waited for the girl, Adam.
Huh?
You waited for the girl.
I didn't wait for anything. We just ended up reconnecting later on.
How did you reconnect later on? Or the Facebook algorithm put the girl in your bed? You didn't know. You didn't know at that point that you probably shouldn't fuck the girl that you were talking to while she was 16 years old.
So because I met her when she was underage, I shouldn't have fucked her when I was overage.
Yes. That's what I'm saying to you.
And then, you know, by the grace of the good Lord, he put her pussy in my bed, and I you know, what was I supposed to do? Say no? Yes, sir. No, sir. You are not supposed to. You're not supposed to do that.
Well, in retrospect, I wish I had taken that advice. It would have made everything a lot simpler, right?
Well, yeah, if you isolate that, right? But then they have the little nasty tweet floating around where you talking about fucking young girls.
I had some, I mean, that seems like an exaggeration. I had some edgy, jokey tweets from like 2008 to 2012 or some shit that, you know, a lot of those are pretty fucking disrespect. I know you, Joe. I know that you remember Twitter back in the day and you know how fucking toxic it was.
It was bad, which is why I did a scrub of all the bad things that I had to say.
So basically, to a little wrap up into that situation, it is weird, quite weird, honestly. But this is the guy that Blair White is perfectly happy calling her friend that she likes, right? So my question is, if this is how it is, how are you going to sit here and be like calling out Eliza Schaer, bringing it back to Blair White? How are you going to be here and calling out Eliza Schaer for this type of stuff when Adam has these types of really bad this isn't just like weird tweets and weird text here and there, right? This isn't just like, I don't know, completely isolated online oops type of situation. Like, bro, you're weird. 2 assault allegations minimum against this guy, exploitation allegations with other women that he brought onto his program to have, you know, to get his dick wet. It's just, things are not adding up here when it comes to Blair White being some pro-woman or pro supporting people who are abused type champion. She's a conservative, so I don't really expect that out of her. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, she's doing the Lord's work here by not being friends with somebody who's easily getting into the ballpark of somebody she's very happy calling her friend not like, you know, but not too long ago, and who she still has connections with to this very day for money, for clout, to get onto his podcast. It's just weird behavior, and I think it should stop. Adam's a weird guy. He's really weird. You're not some champion, okay? You're not cool. You're not cool. I think you're honestly probably similarly as bad as these guys. You are. Freak.